use technology to address some of those issues at the school level, also at a higher education level. So that is what is the mandate of Indian government. The second part is that in terms of ICT, what has happened is in terms of the reach, the richness of the content that students actually get, the experience itself in terms of for students. That's so beautiful that people start looking at ICT in terms of experiential learning, in terms of immersive learning. So those are some of the things that the students and the teachers have started liking at. But is it that what ICT should be doing to the education sector, or is it about giving real value? We have schools which are expanding in terms of the school. From a single school, they are becoming school chains. Now, when you have multiple schools, what happens is that you need to have systems in place where you can manage so many schools. So there is a segment which is basically about school management, and you would see that the number of IITs have expanded. You have BITS, you have RECs. There are so many engineering colleges, even AIMS. You look at any education institute, the numbers are all growing. So that's one segment that we should be looking at in terms of how does ICT come into play. Does ICT also improve productivity within each of the institutions? That's one area. The third area is basically about students and the professors. Some of the previous speakers, they talked about collaborative learning. So one of the presentation was basically about the teacher in one school can teach the students in another school. Some of those experiences are very beautiful when you actually start using ICT. That's one side of the view, which is about modern India. But there is another side of view where we have traditional schools, your traditional institutions, which have not moved to the extent they should have moved. How to marry these two worlds? So that's something that I'm going to talk. So that's something that we are going to address in this panel discussion today. So we'll talk about how ICT is impacting positively, and what are the issues and how do we address this thing. So I'm going to invite the panel members. I would like to invite Mr. D.K. Pandey. He's a principal of NC Jindal Public School. NC Jindal Public School is the oldest school in West Delhi, and it appears in the top 10 schools as per the Hindustan Times survey. Please welcome Mr. D.K. Pandey. Mr. Himanshu Seth, he's a country manager for the PSG group in HP India. HP has done a lot of work for schools, either in terms of both hardware as well as the cloud solutions that HP has put together. HP has a cloud called HP School Cloud that provides students and teachers access to applications and data from anywhere. You can be in the school, you can be at home also, so you can access all of that. They work in the area of technology enablement for schools and colleges. Then I would like to invite Mr. Tarun Malik. He's the Director, Product Marketing and Strategy, Microsoft India. Microsoft, everyone knows, has been doing a lot of work. I mean, whether it is your desktop or on the server, the applications that you see, Microsoft does a lot of work. So they have initiatives like the iSpark, DeemSpark, Microsoft learning tools such as digital storytelling and Office 365. Which is basically your Microsoft Office, but right now it is on the cloud, so you don't need to have it installed on your desktop. So Microsoft, that's basically to improve the productivity in the schools. They also have been working on community-based projects, that is Project Jyoti, Project Bhasha, and Project Shamta. So those are some of the things. Mr. Altaf Halde, he is the Managing Director of Kaspersky Security. That's a leading security company, and everyone fears viruses. So he's the one who protects your PC. So antivirus is to provide security to your PC and data. Ms. Charu Malhotra, Associate Professor, Indian Institute of Public Administration. Indian Institute of Public Administration aims to be one of the world's leading academic centers of thought and influence on public governance, policies and implementation, which are aligned to the human needs and aspirations and values. I would like to invite Ms. Malhotra. Anyone from IAPN? No. Okay, sorry about that. Mr. Praloy De, Vice President Sales, Minelands India Private Limited. They provide IT infrastructure and system integration solutions to the education segment. I would also like one of the principals or someone from school to be part of the panel. It will be interesting because we have service providers, we have people from the ICT side. It would be interesting to have someone else also from the education side. Anyone wants to volunteer? Please. You are, ma'am.
Head Curriculum Development, Amity Group of Schools. Head Curriculum Development, Amity Group of Schools.
Okay, we have Ms. Kemti Tripathi. She is the Head Curriculum Development at Amity Schools. Anyone else wants to join? No. Okay, so we'll just start with the panel discussion. Can you do it from here? I'll do it from here. So I'm going to start with Mr. D.K. Pandey. No, it's okay. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Basically, the first part we are going to talk about. We have talked about ICT and the use of ICT in education. So I would like to hear from both of you because we come from the education side. How do you see ICT? I mean, information. Because if you look at ICT, I mean, it's not only the internet. You are talking about internet. You are talking about mobile phone. You are looking at social media, and a whole range of things. Because the schools have been using technology in different ways. Right. So how have you been using technology, both of you, and do you see any challenge out there? So,
first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and I must congratulate Deepak for giving us this platform. And it is VARINDIA and their request and their quest for excellence in education. That is what vision is, I believe. And ICT, it will be too late to say that we are not sure about whether it contributes positively or it's not contributing positively. But definitely, it is, so far as an aid, it is excellent. It cannot be the objective. It has to remain the means.
So how have you been using technology?
ICT for schools, it started with a small calculator, if you allow me to say, that it is how the integrating your communication technology among the stakeholders. It is not alone the teacher or the teaching, it is the whole learning environment. And the stakeholders, first of all, are the parents, and they are the recipients also of the benefits. They only bear the fruit in the form of their productive citizens as their siblings. So ICT has got inseparable contribution now onwards, and if we are not computer literate, we are not educated at all. This is what I believe, and in every aspect of learning, learning includes teaching, learning includes all other facets of school education as a whole. I will just keep within the boundary of a school, because beyond a school I have got no expertise to contribute on. But as a student of science and as a school administrator, I can definitely say that ICT is at every step, and it has to be there, and it is there to stay for long. We cannot deny benefits just because of some cons are attached with this. Pros is there, but cons are also there. So some cons are there that has to be addressed, and for that I think all the technical experts are sitting here to take care and address the situations of cons. And process, we have to accept it, we have to welcome it, sooner the better, otherwise we lag behind. As Sujit was just mentioning in his speech, that we have produced largest number of technocrats, but the saleable technocrats or the employable technocrats, it's a big gap is there. And if we are not aware today, maybe that China will always, they have already overtaken us. It is there that they will romp home, defeating us on all fronts. So, dear colleagues, all of us who are present here, in the school, we have to think we have got no alternative except that ICT has to be there, it has to stay there, and you take classroom situation, you take the office system, you take the playground system, you take whatever you talk, technology is there, it is only our mindset, our paradigm, which has to shift, and we have to welcome it. Now we should not doubt it.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Sujit.
Sure. Ma'am, yours is a relatively new school, but it has actually expanded rapidly. So, has ICT helped you in any way, and how are you using it?
Thank you very much, first of all. As far as Amity group of schools are concerned, we invest quite a bit on IT infrastructure, and not only infrastructure, we have really, taken advantage of IT in terms of, like we do have internet facility, as people are speaking about SMS systems, and all personalized progress reports are being offered through internet facility to our parents. So we remain constantly in touch with the parents all the time. They don't have to really visit. Virtually, they can contact the teachers. There is a messaging system available. All teachers can contact parents at any point of a time. And we are also working very hard on training teachers, because that's the area where I feel schools are lacking, because unless until the teachers are not well trained and they don't know the different tools and technologies which are available in current time, it is very hard to sustain in this fast changing world. So we are investing quite a bit, and I do hold a lot of training sessions with the teachers, and my concentration is always in interacting with the people and finding out the new technologies and techniques which can help. And one thing, as corporate leaders are here, I can say that one thing which is very required is that we need to develop those kinds of tools and techniques which are friendly for the teachers, who are novice. They are not technically very, very sound. So we need to think of those kinds of tools and techniques should be offered, and I think Microsoft is doing a great job in that field, as well as Google has got a lot of applications for teachers who are not very friendly with the technology, and they can learn those techniques and tools easily. And it's going to be a gradual change, but the change has started for a good cause. And definitely we will catch up, and I don't think India is going to be far behind than any other country in the world. Thank you.
Tarun, some of the solutions that you provide are around collaboration, right? So, so one of the important elements which have come up in the education segment is basically about collaboration. Some of the previous speakers also talked about it. Collaboration between teachers, alumni, students, and all of that. There's a lot of talk going around social networks. The social network, one is moderated, so within a wall, and there's a network which is outside, right? So what are the good parts of this collaborative learning, collaboration as such, and so how do you see this entire piece? You also have a cloud.
I think very relevant question, Sudhit, and Madam just spoke about it in a little speech, but I think the way the world is going to go forward is going to be all around internet, and we all know that we have accepted that as a part of life. I think the debate now, especially in schools, is whether should we police the internet or should we not police the internet. I think in my experience, and I deal with a lot of schools as well as higher education institutes, that the question of policing is a subject of the past. We have to embrace the internet, and with the internet we will have access to social networks, like you mentioned, a lot of it. But there are various tools which are available to all the institutes, which help them navigate them, which help them sort of to say, circumvent any sort of misuse, whether it's from the students or whether it's from anybody else to use that. And the case in point is a lot of schools use our products, which is absolutely open and available to the students as well as faculty and teachers. And that is something that's going to keep going on. Whether it's any technology, whether it's Microsoft, HP, or anybody else, they will look at internet because it's going to reduce costs going forward. School will be looking at deploying more on the cloud, optimizing their costs, optimizing their resources, and also accessing what is available to them from other institutes. I think the big collaboration is now on extranets. For example, can I replicate something that goes on in a more mature or developed economy like the US or Europe by using the cloud and using their applications or something that they use. I'd like to mention a school in Bombay that I recently visited, which is the American School of Mumbai. It's called the American School, but it's in Mumbai, and it's run by Indians, and it's a very advanced school in terms of technology adoption. And I was so surprised. What I saw there was such optimized use of technology that I don't even see in large corporations in the country. And they don't have any expensive equipment or software, but whatever they have, they use it very optimally and to the best of their capabilities. So the point that I'm trying to make is that yes, the answer is yes, we have to embrace internet. We will have to look at ways and means of deploying internet and technology that come with it, like social networks, and seeing how our students can benefit. Mr. Pandey just spoke about employability and having them job ready. I think that's part of the game.
Okay, and do you see things like a Facebook and YouTube?
Yeah, all sort of social networks. Facebook is one part of it. I would say, I think how the pyramid starts with how does a student get access to the net. First step in the infrastructure is the mailing system. Having an email ID on the school's domain is one part of it. And second thing is when he starts sharing his assignments, the curriculum within the school with the teachers. And the third part is when I go beyond the school network, in an extranet kind of environment, when I start looking at options available to me, yeah, Facebook is going to be part of that, but I'm sure Facebook has enough privacy features and school have enough firewalls and networks and security features that they can prevent any sort of misuse.
Himanshu, what are the 4 or 5 things that you would want the school should be adopting from there are a lot of schools who are on the verge of adopting ICT in real sense. ICT is not really the network or infrastructure, but ICT in terms of content, in terms of curriculum, in terms of a lot of other things. Yeah. Or even there are some schools who have actually also moved to the cloud in terms of having their own infrastructure, the ERPs and stuff like that. They actually put it on this thing. So what are the 3 or 4 key things that you would want the schools to start looking at?
Okay. See, as I mentioned in my talk also, there are 2 parts to it. One is the school education and one is the higher education.
Higher education.
With respect to the school education, again, we are the privileged lot because we are sitting in a capital city, and the schools are equipped with best of the equipments, and every teacher wants to probably work in a city like Delhi. But there are schools which are far away in real up country where there is no power, there is no connectivity, where you have to actually lure the students by virtue of midday meal. Right? That's one part to it. So HP being such a large conglomerate, we work on both sides of the universe. So for example, we recently launched something like an ICT in a box. So what we did, since in upcountry, in remote locations, you don't even have a school building in place. Where would you put computers? Where would you put a multi-seat device or an N computing device? productive very fast. So all these things create a universe, and that's where our play is. From end to end, with respect to content, with respect to content delivery, with respect to creating an infrastructure, building that infrastructure and continuously delivering on that infrastructure is the key focus for HB.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point that you talked about in terms of the demand and supply in the higher education and the need for skilling. So NSDC, that's the National Skill Development Corporation, has the studies in terms of the skill gap for each and every industry. And if you look at the recommendations, NSDC has also talked about how ICT can play a major role in terms of skilling people from far-flung places. I mean, there's a big divide between India and Bharat. So any of you want to talk about how ICT can actually skill people in rural India, because that's also part of the education, and get them part of this? Because these are two different things. At the school, the dropout ratio is high, whereas from a higher education point of view, there's a big gap between what the industry needs and this thing. And would you like to take anyone? And one of the important things out there is also the cost. I mean, maybe that's also something that you might want.
Yeah, so very rightly said that at one point in time we're talking about the higher and the metros, the people who are educated, and on the other side it is very basic education in the rural areas, and he talked about midday meals and ways to kind of get children to be a part of it. Yes, it is essential, and a large part of India, Bharat, as you said, is there, and it is essential. But then I think the government now is doing a lot. They are investing in so many different schemes where they are getting the rural children to get computing access to, get access to educations, exactly. So there are various kinds of devices, there are various kinds of initiatives. Of course, a lot of people talk about success and failures of some sort of stuff, but that's perfectly okay. But the initiative, the intent is there to have it, and I think, of course, this is just a start. We'll probably go, way ahead, and I think our organization and computing has been a part of this particular thing where, it is just education, access to education and computing at a very, very low cost. Is kind of being provided, and government is adopting this. There are children who are getting access, and I think there's. In fact, I myself have traveled to a couple of rural schools, and believe me, there's when you actually see them, having probably a computer in front of them or working on some interesting content or things, they feel empowered. I mean, it's like a dream come true for them. It's like, the world's in my hand. I can go and fight anything, and they have dreams of a better future. So it's something that's essential, and I think there are initiatives that are being taken around this.
So do you see a role between the government and the private player in terms of a private-public partnership and any initiative that?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the ICT initiative was taken up by government. The NPTEL initiative was taken up by the government, and it was, the government helped create the content, the guidelines, and then the industry came together and tried and disseminate that content all across. I mean, having a content is of no value if it's on YouTube and nobody wants to watch it because it's too slow, right? So you have to create local infrastructure, and we've seen in past 5-7 years the mushrooming of colleges all across the country. Look at it from the other side. You are teachers, you are principals. The number of students who are going in for higher education today is at least 20 times the number of students which used to go about 10 years back, 10-15 years back. But look at the number of teachers who are getting trained or who are being produced by the country. The number has not gone significantly up. The number of PhDs that are being produced by India is far lagging, and as compared to the number of PhDs in US or in China. We talk about China overtaking us. Yes, they are, because China today invests almost $20,000 on every engineering graduate who goes to study engineering. We don't do that otherwise. So how do you ensure that you replicate your ability in a place where you are not present? So that replication will only happen by virtue of you being present virtually everywhere. So best of the teachers, best of the content being made available to the students all over the country. And that will help improvise the quality of education in the new institutes who've mushroomed everywhere.
Sure, and you want to throw some light?
Yeah, I think just to add to a point, Manchu's already said a lot of stuff on what I plan to say, but the point I think which remains in my mind is the infrastructure. Now, most of the schools, we have a lot of K-12 schools, but most of the schools differentiate in terms of brick and mortar. I have a big building, it accommodates so many sections, but as Mr. Pandey said, that now information technology is a very critical part and parcel of the brick and mortar. So whether it's having a school's local area network, as basic as that, and or having a school which is completely Wi-Fi and can look at accommodating more and more data and bandwidth for internet access, are various ways and means of driving content to the students. I think that's one part, and Madam just spoke about it a little bit, the teacher training, which is that how many teachers are really able to access that technology, because now we are seeing a paradigm shift from what teachers used to be when I was in school versus what teachers are now. So the older teachers still have a huge lag in terms of access to technology, not because they don't want to, in some cases maybe they don't want to, but